sudden violence will frustrate and terrify you because you don't know what comes next and where it will take you. Facing a threat, you need to use whatever means necessary to end the situation effectively and quickly.
Primarily derived from the adaptiveness of the nervous system and quickness of a muscle contraction. Agility is the ability to change direction or body position quickly and proceed smoothly with another movement. Timing comes from a combination of experience and knowledge. Timing in action is a blend of speed, perception, and accuracy. Power is derived from muscular ability. Over 400 muscles of a human body can be classified into two types: smooth muscles and striated muscles. Strength is inherent capacity to manifest energy, to endure, and to resist. Stamina is the power to endure or disease. Flexibility is the capability to bend the body with ease. It is primarily related to the elasticity of the adjoining muscles and their tissues. Reflexes is an involuntary response to stimulus. Coordination is the ability to integrate the physical and physiological process into an efficient pattern of a movement.
The figure 8 and heel walk over the ankle, under the ankle, under the foot.
It's very different than 20 to 30 years ago on how we treat injuries. We just don't walk them off anymore.
To add to the next extra support to this wrap. Another strip below the joint. You can compete with this wrap. I don't want to put those clips. The other thing you need to remember is there's a little groove on the side of your foot where your bones in your foot meet. You do not want the edge of the tape to cut into that.
Get up, man, get up! Get back!
The knowledge that this program provides to them gives them the tools they need to effectively accomplish their goals. Take down individual hostile individuals without causing injury to themselves or the suspect or other officers. They learn how to coordinate team efforts and how to take down people effectively and quickly. Defensive means you're just sitting there defending off blows. We're law enforcement, we can. And I'm not talking excessive. I'm just talking controlled aggression.
When I was in high school, I already had career aspirations and goals. My career aspiration was to be a police officer. So when I was in high school, I joined the police auxiliary program designed for the youth that prepared me for a career opportunity. At the age of 19, I was serving in a police car a year out of high school. I was lucky to have these goals already set in my mind. My other passion was martial arts. And I started martial arts when I was 14 years old, and I still continue it today. I just enjoy it. My career, I served as a patrol officer for 9 years. It went by fast. I enjoyed every minute. Then I was assigned to the detective division, served there for 5 or 6 years, and then assigned to the training unit when I made sergeant. That was probably one of the highlights of my career. I really enjoyed it because now I was both blending my law enforcement and martial arts passion into one training element. A couple years ago, I was promoted to the rank of lieutenant, serving as a patrol commander for 2 years. Recently, I've just assigned to detective division. For the last few years, I've been a SWAT team commander. So with my training and experience, I like to bring to this program the altercations. I don't like to say that I failed several times, but I will say that I find several ways that did not work. And that knowledge is what I like to bring for you in this program. The stuff that I'm introducing or bringing has been proven. I've used it myself on the street. This is for police officers, designed for police officers, for police officers.
A flashbang that I talk about is the flash of your movement, the bang of the impact. The faster you resolve a physical encounter reduces the amount of escalation that you need to go on. So the faster you take him down, you'll eliminate him from maybe countering and escalating a problem. These will give you maneuvers that will be able to resolve an issue from a passive individual all the way up to a very aggravated assailant.
As a police officer, you're going to be faced with violent encounters in the arena that you are at the time. You can't pick out the choice normally that you're going to fight in. The environment will dictate where you're going to fight. And the individual, the assailant's going to dictate that. Regardless of how smart we are and strategically we plan on our responses, sometimes that we're in an environment that will necessitate us using immediate force at that time. And that could be in a very tiny motel room. That could be in a parking lot. That could be in a bedroom. That could be in a gym bar with multiple people around. So we have to adapt our training to fit the environment that we will perform in. You have to learn to fight in different environments. You have to learn to fight in low light. You're going to have to learn to fight in flashing lights, because that's an arena that you're going to be asked to perform in. And you don't want to be in there for the first time under stress. You want to train in that environment, so now when it's for real, you're ready to respond.
Police officers are working 24 hours a day, round the clock, first shift, second shift, third shift, extra hours, overtime, etc. It's very difficult to maintain a regular workout routine. It's important to do as best you can. Your life will depend on it. Your physical capabilities will depend on it. Make sure you keep a good cardiovascular regimen, because your battles on the street can be explosive and dynamic. And it's going to test your heart rate, and you have to be physically capable of handling it. Now, for strength exercises, if you're watching TV at home, take advantage of breaks you have. What I do a lot of times is, the commercial breaks, I'll jump down and do 25 to 30 push-ups. Get back up, watch TV again. Or when you're in the car, watch your diet. Put you in a cruiser, all right? If you have the opportunity to get out of the car, check the buildings, rock the beat a little bit. We have a tendency to kick back in the car sometimes. It's very easy. So we want to try to take as many opportunities as we can to improve our physical fitness.
The most important thing about a police officer's encounters is environmental awareness. If you go into a room, if you go into a bar, if you go into any step zones, what do? We walk in, we scan left, all the way to right. So I like to take that same philosophy, and that's what we're going to work on next week. When I say move, watch me first. First, you look all the way to the left, so almost you're looking in the rear. Hold it for that second, all the way around to the right, hold it for a second, and back to center. And we'll do that for a count of 5. All ready? 1. Ready to go left, all the way around to the right, hold it for a second, back to center. 2. Left, all the way around, back to center. Left, all the way around, hold, back to center. Left, all the way around, hold, back to center, and one more time. Left, all the way around, stretch it, and back to center. And we realize that a lot of our threats are not just in a parallel line. We've had people hiding in trees. We've had people hiding in high zones. So the same thing now, especially for some SWAT personnel. They're equipped with the ballistic helmets. Ballistic helmets have like a little bill over it. So if you're down low here, you're not going to be able to see high. So we have to exaggerate our movements. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go left, right, all the way up high, and then back down to low, and then back to center. All right? That way, instead of tripping over a curb, we are encompassing our entire environment. All right, so again, we'll start left, all the way to the right, go high, stretch it around, go down low, and back to center. One more time, go left, all the way around, go high, I'm sorry, back to center. Left, all the way around, high, and back down. Let me show that this is a very important movement in any fighting philosophy. Say, for example, Jeff comes in and goes to give me a bear hug. Slow, Jeff. I'm going to meet his action. Go low if you could. With this type of thing. Say he's a low and wants to grab me and pull me off my feet here. So watch. I'll get a basic shoulder shrug. I'm going to pull up. You notice how I hook his chin on the way up. I'll rip and down. Alright, so from here, just simulate you have the weights in your hand, like they're doing just shoulder shrugs. But the mindset of somebody like this, so watch me first. You go up, down, and down. Okay? 1, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and up, down. Now you turn it to the one side. You go to your right side. Ready? Up one side, down. Up,
down. But what you want to do is also visualize an opponent there. Don't just kind of do it. Visualize that opponent. Because now you're already putting yourself in that type of an environment. When no one's there, I see somebody when I do this. I see pulling his jaw. I see a target opening up. So I've been through the same scenario several times before. It's the what-if game. We do it all the time in law enforcement. So start off right off the bat in our own training. Ready? Right side. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Go the opposite side. Ready? Up, down, up, down, up, down, and up, down. Now we're going to come forward. The same principle. Right side first. Go. Up, one, up, two, four, up, down, up, down, up, down. Because in actuality, this is all the move we're doing. So we're building those shoulder muscles, those deltoids, the shoulders, coming up around here. This is a very powerful and dynamic move. This is where we want to amplify, stretch out this area because that's where we use a lot in our upper body arsenal. Left side, same thing. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. We're going to do what I call pulling the elevator apart. Grab in front, pull. Grab in front, pull. Grab in front, pull. Grab, pull. Now obviously, now we start to visualize target zones. Grab, pull. That's one target zone, right? If he's close quarter, grab, elbow. Grab, palm. So even when we grab down here, we're going to visualize palms, here, midsection, elbows, or even down low. Now, often you get this type of scenario. Two guys say, "Copy, don't want you out of here." Hey, listen, guys, I don't want to. As soon as I step forward, my momentum, see where I'm going? Grab, and I'm going right down to my target zones. All our power in every striking maneuver comes from that hip, because that's where your power comes from. The rotation, the boxers, the martial artists, and all the power will actually come from your hip. So we're going to be focusing on that in a lot. So from here, notice where the hip's going. I'm already going to do a takedown maneuver right there. As soon as the bear hug comes up, my hands come down, watch the hip. Alright, so from here we will do just a rotation. From here, from center, we're going to go left, all the way around, and back up anyway. Left, all the way around, back, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, if you're going to throw a front kick at me, throw the front kick, I'll get it out of the way. You see where I am right now? Alright, all I'm going to do is pivot a little bit. I'm going to hit you right about there, Jeff. And then you strike my target. Just stay there. Say, for example, I'm against two adversaries. You push me into Rob for a second. Now watch this. Rob picks up here. Come forward. Alright? I can take on two targets with one maneuver. So understand that. So when we stretch our legs out, don't just go, it's a fighting principle from the beginning to the end. I know you can put a hand down there, so when you come up, put it with your heel. So now you're going to start to feel the impact. We'll do it slow. First, just to stretch out. 1, down. 2, down. 3, down. 4, down. 5, down. Now just do the opposite side. 1, down. 2, down. 3, down. 4, down, and 5 down. Now, when I do the opposite leg again, I'm going to say move, and then hold it for count of 5. Ready? Move! 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Down. Now the other side, same thing. Move! 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
When you're executing a push-up properly, it's very important to maintain that you don't rip any muscles in the shoulder blade, is to maintain a close proximity with your elbows to your body. From here, you notice when I go down, how close the elbows are to my body. That, one, reinforces our fighting principle about keeping power within strength by your body, and two, when you push up, it builds your muscles in your chest, triceps, and shoulders. When you're doing push-ups,
It's also very important to keep your back totally straight. Not hunched up like that unless you're doing specifically those. Here. Down. Just about an inch off the ground. Back up. Down. Elbows in tight. Exhale. Back up. Our sit-ups are pretty much focused on team principles. A lot of the pain shared is pain divided. Plus it builds a team principle. Down, up, back, down. Up, stop. Now they're stopping here because now if you feel the abdominals are still tight. As soon as they come all the way up, that relaxes it. And we don't want to do that. We want to maintain tension the entire time. Now notice how the chins are tucked as well. That's a very important principle because when they go back down, they're reinforcing the principle that whenever you fall to the ground on your back, your chin will be tucked to your chest. Up, down, up, down. Most of our fighting principles and concepts are based on upper body strengths and maneuvers. This way we place our chest directly over the diamond formation. By dropping down about an inch above, we are focused primarily on our chest and tricep. Back up. These are very difficult. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up, down, down, up, two, down, up, two, down, up, eight, down, up, down, hold. Down, up, down, hold. Up. A lot of our workouts, we like to involve each other as a team principle. Team training is probably one of the most strongest and reinforces our values. Up, down, up, down, up, down, hold, up. Come on, halfway. Up, down, up, down. The scoop push-ups is a way to build your upper body strength. To do it as a team member, it really emphasizes your tricep muscle, your delts, and your pecs. Because a good majority of the police encounters, you're dealing with upper body strength, grabbing, pulling, yanking, and throwing. So these are designed to improve the strength of your upper body. We go forward, here, all the way down, and push it back up. So it also works your abs as well. It stretches out the back of your legs. It encompasses many different muscles in this one exercise. Push forward. This is applying pressure onto the tricep. Here, you're working the chest and the delts, pushing it back up. That is high in the air. Down, up, back, down, up, back, down, up, back. Now keep your elbows in tight, boys. Down, up, back, down, up, back, down, up, back, down, up, and back. Okay, now we'll do this way. All the way over, down, one, down, two, down, three, down, four, down, five. The knee dip is designed to work our legs. For example, the stance itself is this way here. If you notice that this is a very strong platform if you're at this level. To do so, we want to reinforce one fighting principle of a strong stance. A good protection back here, protecting my Achilles heel. A strong structure here, a strong platform. This is designed for throws, punches, manipulations, and etc. It's a slow, static, down, touch, back up again. Pivot around, down, up, pivot around, down, up, pivot around. That way we perfect it, We feel it, it's a lot of muscle memory here. Down. You notice that we're straight up. We're vertical. Our backs are not bent. Because of that, all the pressure is going right down on that one leg. These are what we like to call our fighting jumping jacks. This movement is very consistent with fighting philosophies and strategies. They can move from different angles. They're building their cardiovascular. They're maintaining your elbows tight to their body in a fighting principle. So we like to reinforce the jumping jack principle into the fighting principle. This technique is also a very strong fighting philosophy when you're dealing with a knifed individual or an edged weapon. But we decided to work our abs in the same fashion. This is very good because in case I had an edged weapon, Rob can obviously keep the suspect away by kicking lower extremities. Your legs can afford to take slashing type maneuvers without hitting any major arteries or veins, but I cannot get to them. So this exercise, we use it for crunches and to build the abdominals, and then we work angles just like a knife-wielding individual would try to go. So it's reinforcing a knife defense and yet working our abs in the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, go. Move 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 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 go. Very important for police officers to know how to roll and fall, especially when they're taken by surprise and shoved to the ground. And you don't want the defense to stop right then and there. This way it allows the officer the capability, even with full gear on, to roll and get back up and defend himself. From this position here, we'll take the diamond shape that we use. Notice I'm making a circle out of myself here. Pushing here, notice this? Now I'm going to push off this back leg and roll over this shoulder. Hands in position, push off the back leg, go forward. When you land, you want to land on the exact same position of what you took off in. So from the low kneel, when you land, you roll right back up into a high knee position like this. From there, you can either start the fence there, attack the lower extremity, enough time for you to stand up, and then execute anything further. Is what we call the centipede or cobra push-up. It's a team concept that we use as many members of the team as we possibly can. One, because each member feels the pain from the other. We all rely on the other. As you realize, in a team, we're only as strong as our weakest link. Ready? When I say 3, we all go up. 1, 2, 3. Down! Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, This drill is very important for police officers. One, it's realistic. In reality, you have to train for how you will perform. Okay, I'm going to push him violently down to the ground. He's going to roll, and I'm going to move in on him. When I move in on him, he's going to target index my inside leg and attack my lower extremity, because that's the position he'll be in. As we mentioned before, this is a good target. It's going to buckle my leg this way, therefore allowing him other targets. Or the time to get up and get a better angle of attack. Too many officers don't realize that they can fight from this position very effectively without having to stand up. To try to stand up is going to be defeated because already he's got the high ground. So when they come in, here we're teaching our officers to start to learn how to attack in the lower areas. In any physical encounter, in the situation law enforcement personnel is going to get into, fear is a powerful element. A lot of times we don't take the time out to train officers that they're going to be faced with fear. Fear comes in a multitude of levels. You have the fear of actually being physically harmed by the assailant. You have the fear of being investigated by internal affairs. We have the fear of civil liability. We have the fear of criminal prosecution. We have the fear of hurting our opponent. We have the fear of not knowing what to do. To deal with fear, it takes knowledge. It takes knowledge in all those categories. Let's start off with the first category about the actual fear of physical harm by the aggressor right in front of you. The best thing to do is now focus on not what that individual can do to you, but now how you can obtain your goal and take this individual out. Secure him, arrest him, control him. To do that, you have to now focus on specific target areas, specific maneuvers, a plan of action on what to do. Suppress that fear of what could happen to you. That will overcome you. Your heartbeat will skyrocket. You lose your fine motor skills and you rely on gross motor skills, and that's basically about fight and flight. Strike first, take the individual control. That does not mean being excessive. Let's bring in some of those other factors we talked about. The fear of civil liability, the fear of criminal prosecution, the fear of internal affairs. The best thing to do is to obtain all your basic knowledge pertaining to the use of force continuum you have in your department, state, government, and whatever you abide by. The fear of civil litigation or internal affairs can be resolved by knowledge and by documentation. When you deploy force on an individual, why don't you report as the way it happened? Identify the techniques you used. For example, I struck down his arm as he grabbed my throat. I executed a heel lock center takedown and rolled him over into a handcuff position. Therefore, if he makes complaints or is actually injured, it will be consistent with your report and consistent with his injuries, therefore making it justifiable, if it is. Now, a couple years later, when civil litigation is in court, and you have to identify it, the documentation will be there. If you don't specifically identify the moves you make, 2 years later when you're in court, they're going to be asking you, officer, what techniques did you use? You're not going to remember. You could have been in 15, 20 fights since that particular incident. Therefore, if you're on trial, and now they want to test your expertise in that area, they say, Lieutenant Dillon, how often have you used force? I go back to the use of force file, document it, I identify which ones, and 17 times within the last 2 years. How many people were injured? 0. 1. 2. That was because of this. That was because of that. Already your expertise is your credibility is being raised. Otherwise, if they ask you that, you're not going to have that. You want to show that you are a professional. You're an expert in your field. That you can use force professionally and justifiably without injuring anybody.
Now, the fear of not knowing what to do. That's through training. Training can be done and must be done realistically, not in a static environment. Make it dynamic. If you're doing fighting training, don't just have somebody grab you. Start off slow, but once you perfect the maneuver, have your opponent grab you the way a suspect would grab you. You never want to be in a situation that you have to deal with something on the street that you haven't dealt with before. If you've trained for it, you're just responding to training. Visualization is knowing your environment. Before you go into the situation, scan left to right. Take as much in as possible. Watch your individuals you're dealing with. Watch your suspects. Not only your suspect, who's around your suspect. Because once the combat ensues or engaged, you might have a visual cone. Therefore, you might lose some very important factors, like other individuals behind the bush, or his fellow gang members behind the car. You have to use your tactics as soon as you get out of the car, or before you engage in a situation, or even if it's just one person. Try to watch every little thing, and don't let the things get by you. Body language is 85% of our communication. And a lot of times they will be signaling you what's going to happen. You just have to be professional and ready to respond to it and identify it. We know that the mindset is just as equal as our fighting strategies. Some people are overwhelmed with their blood. As long as we prepare ourselves for this, we can handle it. Understand this, is that this individual, he's not attacking the uniform. He is attacking you. Make no mistake about it. That uniform doesn't have kids at home. That uniform doesn't have a wife or a family at home or parents at home waiting for you to come home. So don't let anybody tell you that they're just attacking the uniform. And that mindset is important. As far as you're concerned, they're attacking you. They're attacking your existence. And I don't want to sound overly aggressive, but I want you to understand that you will respond appropriately. If someone is trying to harm you, it's going to affect your children. It's going to have a rippling effect. That mindset is that he will not stop you. The criminals out there, they're playing for real. They're playing NFL. We can't play high school football and go home at 4 o'clock or on the weekends. When we're in the game, we got to play in the game. So no matter what, you will never give up. I don't care if you're bleeding left and right. I have friends of mine that have taken numerous shots and continued on. I'm so proud to know him. But he had the right mindset. You can have the right mindset. You will go home and you will survive. To respond appropriately pertaining to the level of force used against you, you need to identify what levels you're dealing with. First, you have your passive resistors. Your passive resistors are your no people. They're not responding to your verbal commands. They just refuse to comply. They're not offering you any resistance, going limp and things of that nature. Now, you have to understand your techniques or your force continuum. What level can you respond to this individual? The next one would be the defensive resistance. Defensive is a level higher. Now he might be tightening his muscles or flexing up, not wanting to comply, not giving you his arm. But again, not really assaulting or attacking you. So again, you have to know what level of force you can use to take this individual into custody. The program that we're offering now gives you those options. The next level is active resistance. Active resistance means he's assaulting you with his hands and feet, body weapons, grappling, things of that nature. The step above that would be aggravated active resistance. That's almost the use of deadly force, when he is out to kill you. And you have to understand that and respond appropriately. By knowing your different levels of force, you need to respond appropriately and effectively. You must respond to a level higher than the level that you're getting resistance from. That's about it, a level higher. You don't want to jump 2 or 3 levels. For example, if someone's offering you very passive resistance, you're not going to strike that person with closed fists or elbow strikes. Use it as a body manipulation, come-along technique, or something of that nature. What's appropriate? So in a rule of thumb, just use a force above, never equal. If you use the equal amount of force, nothing will be obtained, and the fight could escalate, therefore causing damage or injury to you, the suspect, and property around the area. You want to take control immediately, so respond to a level above the level being resisted. When dealing with a passive resistor, 1, you don't want to hurt the individual. But 2, you have to make sure that you control the situation. A passive resistor you encounter a lot of times during demonstrations and things of that nature. There are pressure points to move them. There are arm bars to move them, or even carries to move them. Remember, active resistance is an attack on you. If he's attacking you with a right punch, take out that right punch. Take out the right punch, hammer it down so he can't swing it again. Take him down with an effective heel lock center takedown or any other maneuver. But respond. Don't block it and let him strike you again with something else. You have to understand, when they attack you, you don't have the time to defend. You will now take the attack back to them to take them under control. And I'm not talking excessive use of force. I'm just talking effective and efficient, where you take this individual into control and into custody without any more injury to him or you. If you do not respond immediately to take him under control, the fight will escalate. Energy level will deplete, and that's when injuries will occur. And that's when the force level will have to go up, because once you become tired now, you might have to use more force to obtain the same goal that you would originally if you used a quick, fast, and effective maneuver to take him down. Aggravated assaults are an individual who's using a dangerous or deadly weapon against you. This is important to know your deadly force policy. Do you feel that you are an imminent threat of deadly physical force? If that's the case, you have to respond appropriately. And to respond appropriately, you have to know what rules govern your agency, what state statutes and what federal guidelines you can respond to. Because if he's deploying deadly force, you have the right, you have the responsibility to use deadly force to stop that threat.
A flashbang is a diversionary device that SWAT teams use and tactical teams use to distract an individual if they have to make an entry into a home. It's a concussion grenade. You pull the pin, you throw it into a room, and it's a powerful concussion with a bright, brilliant light. What it's designed to do is disorientate your suspect or your subject for about 3 or 4 seconds, enough for you to gain entry, overwhelm them, and then take them into control. The flashbang means that you have to be able to pull that pin and move into action that fast. A flash is your movement. It has to be that fast. Immediately following the flash will be the impact, the bang, into your opponent. That will disorientate him, hopefully, for 3 to 4 seconds, allowing you to overwhelm his senses and take him down and take him into control. A flashbang is simply ready to deploy with that much speed and energy instantaneously. For example, playing tag in a tackle game would be, say I want to take this individual in custody. It would be one of these things. Come on with me. Now, that's obviously not taking control of the situation. Even if I want to try to take him down to the ground. A flashbang is this. Sir, is there anything else I can say to you? Flashbang, obviously, and you have to pull the pin. You have to ready to be explode, overwhelm his senses. You can no longer inhibit or refrain. And what happens, a lot of the reasons we do that is because of fear. Fear is a major impact or impasse for law enforcement on the street. Fear comes in many different levels. But you have to understand and accept when you see it. You have to realize that this individual is not coming to attack you. First of all, defensive tactics, take that word right out of your vocabulary. This is not defensive. A defensive mode means I'm standing by waiting for them to attack me. I don't have that luxury. We all know that action is quicker than reaction. If I wait for that individual to maybe assault me or punch me, chances are I'm not going to be able to beat that action. Now, with the fear suppressed, and the confidence and the capability and the knowledge, you can deploy that flashbang without hesitation, without fear. Action is quicker than reaction. Based on that information, you always have to be ready to expect the unexpected. Someone that's pretty much cowardice is going to strike you when you're not ready. They're not going to knuckle up first, prepare you to defend yourself, and then strike you. They're going to lower your defenses. They're going to be nice, and then when they have the opportunity, they're going to hit you. What we have to do is limit their capability to sucker punch you. You ever arrest somebody when they're belly down on the ground and they fuse their arms underneath them, and it's almost impossible to get out? That's body fusion. Power is from within your center. The closer your elbows are at your sides, the more powerful you are. Now, when we're talking interview stance, it's important to look friendly, but yet comfortable, and yet professional. You don't want to look hands down at your side, not prepared. If I'm in a position like this, notice that my hands are very close to my body, alright, but yet they're very close to my opponent as well. My hands open up, pretty much signify that I'm in a passive mode to the individual watching me. I'm no more passive here than I would be here. My hands can open hand strike just as fast as they would with a closed fist. As a matter of fact, if I was going to hit somebody in the face, it would be with an open hand and not a closed fist. But yet to the individual I'm talking to, I don't look too aggressive. I look very friendly. So they might lower their inhibitions too, or might unexpect what I'm already prepared to do. I want to show you the importance or the principles about how action will, in fact, beat reaction. I'm going to put this over Jeff's side, all right? Now, Jeff's hands at his side. Say he's the officer and I'm going to be the adversary. What I'm going to do is, this is just a little drill to show you and everybody else that action is faster than reaction. I'm going to tell Jeff, I'm going to snap that towel from your shoulder, and I want you to stop me. There's one. All right, Jeff, I'm going to snap it. Two. So obviously I'm telling him what I'm going to do. Ready, Jeff? Yep. And he can't defend against it. Now, if I was going to hit him in the face, he would not be able to defend those punches. However, I'm going to do the same drill. Jeff, put your hands up in an interview stance. Already, notice how high his hands are. He looks very passive. He's not in a defensive mode, or is he? He absolutely is. Same thing, Jeff. I'm going to try to snap that towel. All right. Not once have I been successful, because his hands are already quicker. Okay. Now, simply by changing my hand position, elbows close to my body, they're right in front of me. Okay, Jeff, do it. Okay. Now, that is something I want you to understand. Now, I leave the car for a second. Same drill. I'm going to try to touch his face. He goes to grab me, I'm already in my target. Otherwise, officer, boom! You actually take the shot and they're out of the game. The individual will violently jump on top of them and continue to pummel them. Action communicates that way, and I don't want it to happen to you. Keep your elbows up. Minimize the capability that they can hit you. Before we can execute power or stability, we have to make sure that we know how to stand appropriately. The first one is what we consider a basic forward stance. Imagine yourself on two railroad trestles here. Slide one foot back. Both feet are now pointing in the forward direction. The front one just in just slightly. Your weight distribution is 50-50. You're standing vertically erect right in front. The important part of this is the power from the right rear leg, or left rear leg, depending which way I'm standing. The heel is firmly on the ground. This way here, all my energy and force will be disseminated forward, unless I specifically wanted to do it this way. This is a very strong, rigid back leg. This is very powerful. This is good for front strikes, because once I do it this way, all my power is going in that direction. By doing it this, when I strike here, it's going to be disseminating 50-50, and I don't want that. I want a strong rear leg, strong front leg, but the heel has to remain planted on the ground. This is also very strong. No one can push me over this way. If standing like this, someone just has to push me lightly, and I'll go. But by standing this way, which is very consistent with law enforcement, shotgun shooting, handgun shooting, the stances are remaining the same. Therefore, it's not one stance for shooting your firearm and one for fighting. One stance encompassing everything. This is what we call the forward stance. This would be a forward left stance. This would be a forward right stance. The next stance is just simply a side stance. If I move to the right, it's called a right side stance. If I move to the left, it's called a left side stance. This stance is very good when you're forcing left or right, or throwing manipulations. Alright? Not when your target or adversary is behind you or in front of you. Obviously, I have no stability for the reverse. All my stability is on the side, left or right. Primarily, if I'm moving and taking somebody off this way with a throw or manipulation, I have a strong side stance. The last one I'll talk about is what we call a kneel. A high kneel. High because you're vertically correct. If you notice that all our lockups, at the end, there's a kneeling position. Facing front, all I'm doing from my strong front stance is dropping down onto a right knee. Notice that I am totally erect from my point knee straight up and I'm standing straight over it. The belt line is below me. Anytime I bend over the belt like this, I'm now losing stability. This has to remain totally erect. Therefore, it forces all the pressure right down in that right knee. This is good for striking down this way, locking somebody up, manipulating somebody over this leg. It's a very powerful stance. If you notice, I've also done a lot of fighting strategies from this level. Notice that I protect my Achilles tendon. I don't want to extend my foot this way, but it's easy to break this. This gives me stability. Now I can balance myself, I'm protecting my rear leg, and I'm powerful enough to stand on this knee. This is called a left knee drop. This would be a right knee drop, because I'm dropping that knee onto my opponent, or dropping that right knee to stabilize myself, and a strong platform to respond to something else. Right knee drop, left knee drop. Your heel has to be locked into position. By locking into position here, my energy is now only going in one direction. If I do this, and I hit Rob, my energy is going to be expanding in two different directions. I'm going to hit Rob, and he's going to force me back. Common sense indicates that now my energy is going to be separated in two different directions. But by fusing that down there, all my force now is just going into one direction, right where I want it to go. Another defensive mechanism you can take is a chin tuck. If someone grabs you, slams you against the wall, immediately just tuck that chin. You're stabilizing, protecting your neck, even when you get thrown to the ground. As long as you get used to tucking that chin, you're going to protect your neck and head from injury. And that's a standing defense as well as a ground fighting defense. If somebody goes throws a punch at you, tuck that chin, stabilizes his head, chances are he'll hit your top of your head, which is the most hardest part, with his hand. If you keep your head up, he'll hit the jawbone, the face, and this is the area he can cause damage. So if all of a sudden, if you have no response but just tuck the chin, get used to it. Constantly tuck chin. Falling, thrown against the wall, always tuck the chin to protect your neck, head from an injury. We talk about weapon systems and distances. For example, if I'm going to use an upper body weapon system, the distance is a key factor pertaining to which one I use. It's important for you to understand and know your weapon systems, because depending, you don't dictate where he might move in. He might move in faster than you anticipate, or he might be further than you anticipate. But you have to remember, depending on where he is, what weapon system that you'd like to select. For example, the upper body, you have the punch is technically your long-distance weapon, or like a distance of this nature. Your forearm is going to be a medium-distance weapon. Now the elbows are very, very close. Now the lower extremity is the same principle. Long-distance weapon would be almost a kick. Medium would be a shin, and of course close quarter would be a knee. What's important about these issues is that you have to know at the time, depending on where that person is, what weapon you decide to choose. For example, if Jeff comes around with a punch, and he's closer than I thought he would be, I'm not going to try to step back to get the punch. I'm going to move from my position. Instead of a punch, though, now I'm just going to go to a forearm. Now he's even closer than I thought, so instead of trying a forearm, I just move to an elbow. But I am basing upon my selection of weapon system on his distance, or my distance. I choose, I should dictate, but I also have to be prepared which one to use. The lower extremity. So he comes in real quick with the right. I realize that obviously I'm not going to step back to try to kick. I'm going to move from my position. So from here, I pick a close quarter weapon system. If I'm further back, a medium, and of course, long distance would be a foot. That's important to know and to practice, so you can respond spontaneously, so you don't have to try to manipulate or adjust your position. Wherever you are, you can select your long, medium, or close-range weapons. A punch is what we consider to be probably a long-range upper body weapon system. That would be long range, this would be medium range, and this would be close range. Punching is something that we learn to do when we're 3 years old and up. The problem is that we learn to do it properly. Punching has to be retrained almost, and I'm finding it's probably one of the most difficult things to teach police officers is proper punching techniques. Because one, they've been doing it for years. They watch TV. You must see a fist fight on TV 3 or 4 times a night. So punching is not unusual to see on television, and it's very normal for them to do, except the reality is that you cannot punch somebody repeatedly in the face without causing substantial damage to your own hand. Boxers have tight hand wraps and professional gloves, and even that is very difficult on the hand. Police officers have to learn not to hit hard targets with a hard weapon system. The knuckles are bones. The skull is a bone. So if bone to bone is hard to hard, the chances of breaking your hand. And law enforcement, we can't afford that. If you strike somebody in the head and he drops down and you fracture your hand, boxer's fracture, which is very common, you can't go to your sidearm anymore. Because chances are you're going to be punching with your strong hand, breaking it. Now you're limiting your own capabilities by an offensive maneuver. Number one rule is this: always punch a soft target with a hard weapon system. Number two is the angle of delivery. The punches have to be delivered in a downward angle. Notice for the knuckles to be reinforced by the wrist, to the forearm, to the elbow. And the other most important factor is that the elbow has to stay about 6 inches from your hip. The further that comes out, and the further it comes out this way, the weaker your punch becomes. You have to almost fuse this elbow to your hip. So now when you're punching, you're rotating your whole body mass. If I am here, I have to step in towards my target and rotate. You see how the belt buckle goes from here all the way to 10 o'clock? That gives me that rotational torque that I need to really use the power. From here, as I come in, notice that how the elbow is so close to the body. I'm going to go right down here. Notice that it's right below the belt line. I'm not going to go for his abs. That's not a really good target, especially with a washboard like he's got. He can take some substantial punches. If you notice when I come down, if you freeze it, you can see the line of the angle. Notice that the knuckles are guaranteed to hit first. As I penetrate my target, I then circle out. The reason I circle out because I want to establish some fluid shock. A static would be this. Quick pass. Fluid shock will be that. Notice how I penetrate the muscle and continue to move in there. The same thing when it comes to a punch. A static punch is one of these. A fluid shock is where I penetrate using muscle mass. With five. Static shock would be like this. A fluid shock would cause the whole muscle and body to maneuver. Fluid shock means I am penetrating the muscles. Static shock means I'm retracting. Alright? It doesn't give me enough power. What I want to learn to do is maximize the amount of strikes that I use and minimize the amount that I have to deploy. Action causes a certain specific reaction, and I want to know what action I'm prepared. For example, if I want Rob down lower, I'm going to cause an action. Here, he goes down lower. That's what I might need. From here, that knee will lift him up to open him up again. Alright, so we call it the rule of three. Anytime I'm going to deploy force, I'm going to do at least 3 maneuvers. If I just try to do one, he can defend against 1 maneuver. But defending against 3 is extremely difficult. I'm going to overwhelm his senses with an offense. It's not the excessive, it's just going to be assertive, and I'm going to overwhelm with at least 3 maneuvers. If I go to throw a punch, block the punch, right? He might be able to block that. I throw a second punch, he might be able to block that. But if already now I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm overwhelming him, he cannot continue to block. Therefore, you can't just throw 1 or 2 techniques. We do it the rule of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are a multitude of targets that people don't even think about. Down low here. None of the people that aren't really trained go for here and above. A lot of what we call headhunters. Because that's all they know, that's all they see, so they want to go to head. The trained fighters do not. We as police officers will be the trained fighters. But you have to learn to deploy a proper and accurate and functional punch. A punch to someone's face, that's your chin down, right? And Rob does a defensive mechanism like that, just taking his chin, is going to cause a defensive move for him, break my own hand. Obviously, as soon as he does that, I break my hand, chances are I'm going to respond to that broken hand, giving him the opportunity to overwhelm me. Or, now I can't go to my handgun in case it goes to that level of force. Therefore, I'm going to specifically target soft body areas. Also, along with your positioning of your elbow, the importance of the positioning of your hand. If you put your hands on your side, put your hands on your side, Rob. I put my hands down on my side, and that's the position. Look where the hand position is. It's not this, alright? It's here. That's the exact same way we just got to bring it up right to here. So when we deploy or execute our punch, it's in that fashion. You notice on an angle. On this angle, but I'm going to hit with the 2 knuckles downwards. I'm not doing it this way. I'm not doing it this way. I'm just doing it right in between. Here. Alright? And then I'm going to rotate around. The reason I rotate around, as I told about, I might decide to move in with other things. This is another one people don't think about. So, please put your hands down. The only targets I see are these. People are not used to seeing the same targets we're prepared to do. They try to go around these almost in centuries. Right, as a police officer, put your hands down. A shield work when it comes to punching really starts to identify if you're doing the technique properly or not. One, when you really first start off with these, do it without any hand protection on there. Because after a while, after 15 or 20 minutes from now, if you see redness on these 2 knuckles, that means you're developing the proper punch. If you see redness on the end, that means you're not developing the proper punch and you're hitting with the wrong part of the hand. This is the easiest part of the hand to break. This is what you want to be hitting with. What's important about the punching drill, is that everything has to be brought into play. The proper stance, the proper positioning of the elbow, the proper positioning of the knuckles, the proper rotation of the hip. Now, as me as a trainer or a partner, I'm going to be watching for all these factors and feeling it at the same time. Okay, now one thing, his strike is proper, but he's not executing a lot of rotation. So I want to start here, I want that hip to end up over there. Very good. See the difference? I feel the difference. Now, the bag will also give us an indication if he's penetrating depth properly or not. If he's hitting straight on to an opponent, the bag will bend over like this. That means he's penetrating depth. He's going straight into it. If the bag moves like this, that means he's not penetrating enough. He's just skidding across with it. And therefore, he's not maximizing his punch. Very good. 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 After we focus on the basics, we have to learn to expand. Because in actuality, we are not just going to explode with a punch. He's not going to be open to that target. So what we do is we open him up. Open him up would be here by simply bringing his head up here, causes the reaction we want. He's going to block that strike. As soon as he does that, that's when I move in. Come here from your interview stance. Here, up, then down. Up, then down. Because what it's doing, you notice when I do this, I'm actually torquing and winding my body up ready for my flashbang. From here, distraction momentarily allows me to come right back. From here, right? Hit. 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 And you start to practice that way. Right now, I'm going to be offensive. One, because he's already knuckled up with me. I'm not going to wait for him to throw the first punch. Alright, so here's one. Boom. His hands go up to defend himself. From here, I come in here, do these spines. Step forward here, elbow, and then again here, with the leg. We're going to talk about dealing with a sucker punch from an interview stance. And to deal with that, obviously action will beat reaction. But if we're prepared, we can probably reduce the chances of being struck, or at least redirect the strike. But if we're not prepared and he catches us off guard, we won't be able to beat the action. What I believe is very important is a parry strike. Parries are very good for these close quarter situations. A lot of times when you parry a strike, you have to deal with it again. But in a close, automatic, and spontaneous sucker punch, sometimes a parry is all you have time to do. And what a parry is doing is simply redirecting the strike. But your hands have to be in a proper position. You have to be in an interview stance. Say, for example, if I'm more or less towards the center of jaw, alright, and the punch is starting to come even pretty much from a straight direction, but on the outside, I'm going to parry it to the outside. Because I'm not going to try to move toward that direction and parry it on the inside. So my body positioning and his body positioning dictates which way I'm going to parry this. But right now, if he's facing this way, sir, you have to calm down. And I'm like this in my interview stance, and he throws a straight punch, here's my parry. I just want to move just enough out of my way to be able to open him up. Alright? Because I'm not going to wait until number 2 comes. As soon as I parry this, I'm going to just step in and drive my elbow right into his chest. This is what I consider to be fighting in a phone booth. Police officers have to learn to fight in a phone booth. Close quarter fighting. We don't have time to gain distance. Especially in a situation like that. If I'm here, sir, calm down. He parries out of the way. This other hand comes up, moves it out of the way, and all I'm doing is taking the point of my elbow and just dropping it right into his chest. Here, this one comes the first time, redirects it. This hand follows up to make sure that it doesn't come back at me. Notice how my elbow is already in position. From here, I'm just going to step forward and drive it right into the chest. This is probably one of the only upper body weapons that will be effective in someone's chest. I'm going to drop it downwards because I want his body downwards, alright? But remember, if I go straight in, now I'm striking with a deadly force blow, and that'll be inappropriate, and I'm responsible for the strike. If he throws a punch, and I parry and come in with a deadly force blow, that's excessive. Based on that, I could be held liable civilly and criminally. Again, if the punch comes more or less from the outside, I'm going to move it here, step inside, redirect it, take my elbow, which is already in position, close to my body where my power is, driving it right into that chest on a downward angle. Lifting him up. Once he's back on his heels, I can just step right in there and drop him down into a heel lock center takedown. So if anything else I can say to him, I get it out of the way. Move it here, step in and just drive my elbow right into his chest. From here, I'm just going to lift his head up and then do a heel lock center takedown. So you gotta calm down. You can tell you're visually alert. Over. Sir, calm down. You have to calm down. I can tell. Over. Now knock it off. You're under arrest. The variation of the prairie strike is when now he's more or less towards my side, and I'm on the outside, so to speak. If he comes straight on my face, it's much easier to step away and redirect and parry that way. Now from here, I'm going to step in and strike that arm with as much force as I can. Step in elbow, and the same maneuver comes to play, the heel lock center take off. Now, I parry, redirect it out of my way. Open himself up for another target. I step in, hit the target that way. My foot goes into place here, and then I push him down. It's here. Just far enough. Don't over-exaggerate your block because you're just now opening yourself up for counter. Just enough to move it out of your very quick and effective. Just for pop. From here, now that's another target. So you either come up with a fist or a forearm out of the way. From here, I'm stepping in, striking, moving forward, and taking it down. Sir, calm down. You can tell you're very visually upset. Sir, you have to calm down. Calm down. You can tell. So you got to calm down. You're visually calm. Calm down. The parry strike is something you have to be prepared for, because sucker punches are their primary method of attack. Right? Now the individual who's aggressive, he's easier to determine that he's going to punch me. Those visual clues he's given me will give me the opportunity to step back. Calm down. Calm down. I can go to my capstan. I can go to my baton, calling for other units. The individual who's very nice and close to you like he's offending and then throws the punch, that's the one you got to be careful of. Alright? He's very deceptive in his approach, very deceptive in his attack. He starts from here and then just comes up. They do give visual clues, but you have to be aware of it. He takes his hat off, or he might signal someone to the side, or he might put his keys down. He gives visual clues. That's why officers have to start to read people's bodies, not just what they say. 80 to 85% of communication is through body language, and they will give it out. The problem with most of us officers is that we don't read the cues. The cues are there. He starts closing in distance. Very overly nice. Calm down. Step back a little bit. Just step back a little bit. Step back. Step back. targets of the body is so important because knowledge is going to reinforce your speed as to what to hit, where, and when, depending on what level of force that you need to deploy. I'm going to start off at the head area. As I spoke about before, never punch somebody in the head with a closed fist. This is a bone. And if he drops his head down and I hit hard, I'm going to break my own hand. Alright, so anytime we attack the head, the target system is going to be with an open hand to the jaw. Coming forward, striking the jaw in this fashion here. The nose, open hand to the nose this way. The throat is a deadly physical force strike, because by striking that area, you can cause serious physical injury and or death. The side of the neck, the vagus nerves, or a brachial stun on the sides here will be done with a forearm strike or open hand. The clavicles are done with a hammering strike down this way here. The chest area is a massive amount of muscle. So what you want to do, you can move it, but it's not a great target system unless I'm using a forearm to move the body in one way or the other. The solar plexus is a very good target. Now, the abdominals is not really a good system because an individual can train himself so that his abs are very strong, that they can prepare themselves against strikes to the abs. So it's really not a good target system. The rib cage on the right side or his left side is very good, because regardless of how much muscle mass he has here, he's not going to have a lot of muscle mass on the rib cage. Alright, and when you strike with a punching maneuver to his rib cage, you're going to get the response. Or an elbow strike. So these areas here, the rib cages, are good for a punching strike, elbow strikes, knee strikes, or even shin strikes, depending on what position his body is in. The bicep is a very good striking target. When someone is knuckled up on you like that in a fighting position, by hammer fist or striking the muscle is going to get a response you want. The radial nerve, the inside, which is a median nerve, by striking this with a punch or forearm strike, is going to cause a specific reaction that you want. Now, below the belt line, we're going to go to the bladder area. That's a good target system for a punch, because regardless of how powerful his abs might be, he's not going to be able to tighten that up. So that's a very functional target system, and it's going to cause a specific reaction. The groin. The groin is a deadly force strike. It can cause serious physical injury. The lower extremities, the inside of the legs, the insides, the femoral arteries, is a very good target system for a lower body system, lower body weapon system. The inside here would be a good target for a shin strike, depending on where I am, or a knee strike. The inside of the knee joint is very good for a knuckle punch. The shins are very good for law enforcement as a target system, because normally a lot of police officers wear these type of boots. So we might as well use our equipment to our advantage. With an inside sweep like this to the shin causes a great deal of pain and causes a disruption to his balance, as well as the instep of his foot. By stomping down on the instep will cause an automatic response, lifting up the foot, losing his balance. The back of the body, the head, the neck area here is for manipulations, grabbing and controlling. Striking this is also a deadly force blow, because that can cause serious physical injury, depending on the level of force that you need to deploy. Again, the side of the neck, the vagus nerve, those can be forearm strikes from the rear. The trap muscles here are hammering strikes down to try to lower his body. Alright? The kidneys. The kidneys are very, very good targets. If he is choking or is doing something, you strike the kidneys with a closed fist is going to cause a specific response that you want. Behind the leg, the calf muscle. By striking down the calf muscle is going to buckle the leg. Or striking behind here, or the back of the leg with a kick here, is going to get your desired response. On the side, you have the common peroneal nerve, which is very good for a shin strike or a knee strike. One thing, when you select a target system, you want to hit a target depending on which way it's facing. For example, he right now is standing in a vertical position. Therefore, I would choose to use a vertical weapon system to ensure that I would hit the target. The chances are greater. since he is standing vertically, if I try to kick vertically, it's more difficult because you have two vertical points. But if he is standing vertical, I would like to change my target system to go horizontal, perpendicular to one another. Therefore, it increases the chances of me striking my target. The same thing with this angle here. All right, if this is now horizontal, I want to strike it with a different angle. The angles of attack increase your chances of making sure you strike your target system. The first kick we're going to talk about is what we call a front kick. It's a little different than your typical martial art kick. When we do front kicks, we want to manipulate or move the lower extremities. Move them out this way here to take his balance off structure. What to execute this perfectly, you got to first move your foot outwards, because the rotation of your hip is where your power comes from. You come in straight this way, and at the last minute you're going to kick outwards with the ball of your foot to get a response on your opponent like this. But when you kick like this, you're then going to land forward. You're not going to retract. We want all our energy going forward towards one direction. This is one way, but we don't execute it that way, because once we kick here, now we have to go and retake that same ground. Our front kicks here are moving the legs out and then just moving in as we try to take him over. Pivot, lift. The next kick is a shin kick. The principles and execution is the same. See, all our kicks are done below the waist. One, we can't kick above our waist very well because of our gun belt and equipment that we use. Secondly, the reason we kick below the waist is the most functional. We're striking the leg areas to break it down. The higher we kick above the waist, the less likely it is to really be effective, and the greater our chances are that he can grab our own leg and bring us down. So our kicks are close quarter and pretty much extensions of a step moving towards a direction. The shin kick is done by making contact with the shin here. Again, primarily to the inside of the legs, or even the outside of the legs, to buckle his structure down. Here I'm going to move this foot outwards so it allows my pivot and rotation a little bit better. I come in and I just lift him right up with a shin kick. I'm not withdrawing it. As I make contact, I want to lift that leg up, therefore spreading out his legs, disrupting his balance, and easier to take him down. Pivot, lift. One. Hands always up. 2, 3. This is done when your opponent is in very close quarters, right on top of you. It's too far for a shin or a front kick. The move is the same. Move this out so you can get the rotation. Rotation on any of these kicks is paramount. After you rotate, your knee. The knee is designed to take the inside of the thigh, again, and buckle his base. So we can follow up for a quick takedown maneuver. Move out, knee. You notice again, we're attacking the lower extremities. These are perfect if you're in a phone booth. If someone's right on top of you, you can move him back, break his structure, and give yourself enough room to respond properly. 1. Hands always up. 2. 3. And 4.
This technique is called the rear sentry takedown. It's designed to take an opponent down from the rear, normally involving two officers. If you notice, an opponent is usually directed or talking with an officer in front. It's designed from the rear, but you can really deploy it or execute it from any particular angle. But I'm going to start off from the rear. The individual is pretty much focused on something in front of him. I'm going to take out his base by kicking out his back leg. When I come in, I'm going to grab the upper portion of his body, at the same time kicking out his back leg to take him off his balance. When someone is immediately taken off their balance, they can't focus on what their intentions were. So if he wanted to assault or strike another officer, or in fact was, by pulling him, yanking him back off his balance, he has to now readdress his focus on his own balance. So for example, the officer executing this technique, come up, grab here, and grab. At the same time, you hit, grab, kick this out, and pull backwards onto a very strong stance. This is only a momentary part. From here, I'm going to push this hand down. I'm going to take this finger and point to where I want him to go. That will automatically point him to the ground. This time here, I just drop the knee right on top of the shoulder blade, compressing it down to the ground and stabilizing his position. First thing you have to do is remember to take him off his balance. Even if he's knuckled up in front of somebody. This way here, I'm going to grab, pull him backwards, and buckle that leg here. Then I just lay him right on top of my front stance here. Notice on my thighs like a platform. Now from here, strike this down. At the same time, notice how my hip rotation comes into play once again. Here. He goes all the way down. Now from here, I'm just going to drop my left knee onto the shoulder blade and fuse it right to the ground. But as we talked about from the beginning, this is a flashbang principle. From here, here. I'm only stopping for your purposes to show you that it's a very powerful stance. If you do it incorrectly, you can take yourself off the balance. By pulling him back here, unless you have a strong balance, your own offensive maneuver will cause his defense. So from here, I'm going to take him out into a strong position here. From here, I'm still vertically enough I can see any other threats that are coming around. Now from here, I'm going to pull it and point this way here and force him down to the ground. Put your hands behind your back. The difference in the variation is one, I'm using to kick out his lower legs as one option, and the other variation, we're in close quarters, so I'm just bringing him back this way here. Now, what dictates that sometimes will be the environment, will be the size of the individual. If he's much larger than I am, I can't get up there, then I'm going to take out his lower legs, which is probably the easiest and fastest way. Or this one here, when we're basically the same size, I don't have to kick out the lower legs. Simply reach, bring them down this way here. It has the same effect. So the variations depend on the environment and depends on the size of my opponent. Knock it off. This technique is phenomenal because it could be a passive resistor all the way up to an aggravated assailant. For example, if this guy's a passive resistor, I just want to take him off his structure. Pretty similar to the technique you saw before. But I'm going to talk about an aggravated assailant. One of the options is coming over the top here and this way here. Alright? One, I'm obstructing his view. Two, I'm taking off his balance. So now I'm totally overwhelming his senses. A little closer. So when you do it real quick, notice that I'm right about here.
Okay.
So it's one move. Like that.
doing that here, I'm also bringing my hand up to support his neck. All right, because this is a neck manipulation, you have to make sure you protect him. All right, because every action you do, you're responsible for him. So from here, over the top, blind him temporarily, support his neck, pull him off balance this way. At this point, I can still give him verbal commands. Knock it off. Stop your fighting. Down here, pull him in. Knock it off. Knock it off. Knock it off. Stop your fighting. All right, somebody grabs you this way here. Forearm strike. Now, step behind the position here. Block his view. Pull him down into that same rear century takedown. My strong front stance, I have a stable platform for him. Right back to where I was before. So the same technique can be executed from the front. From here. Individual goes to grab an officer. He's not a passive resistor, he's much more aggressive here. Here, knock that around. What's good about this technique is now you can still rely on the basic fundamentals that you've learned. You don't have to think of multiple different techniques to respond in. He grabs, I forearm strike, I can come right back to the same technique. Therefore, it enhances or increases the amount of system or defenses I can use on basically a minimal amount of techniques. So this technique, even though designed to start from the rear, I can just simply get behind the rear and then take them down in the same fashion. Stop your fighting. I'm going to start off with the basic application. The basic application, the heel lock center takedown, is basically what it sounds like. We're going to step towards his center. As I step towards his center, I'm going to lock his heel in place. I'm also applying pressure on the inside of his leg. My forearm is very, very close to my sidearm, and it's protected. Now by this, I'm going to push down on his hip bone at the same time I maintain that lock here. Right now I'm just going to push him down by pushing from a side stance to a forward stance like that. Along with my stance change is where I will push down on his hip like this. My reaction will cause a specific reaction. I want to make sure that my action is the reaction that I want. So as I lock it in here in place, my knee to the inside, this here, so I am applying pressure, stopping here, applying pressure here, pushing down here, and if you notice my forearm is even up here as well. So all these factors come into place as well as my momentum. So I come in here. As I come in, I always make sure that I'm protected. I just don't move in this way. My hands are high as all time here. From here, as I step in, you notice that I'm very dynamic. Flashbang. I maintain this to grab this wrist so he can't come up and hit me. I'm locked into place here, pushing on the hip here. Now as I move from here to a front stance, my opponent goes down. When you execute the heel lock center takedown, you have to complete the task. Locking in here, pushing him down. As he goes down, I step right up. My knee can drop down to a groin, drop down to a thigh. I have this, I lift him up, put my foot behind his shoulder blade. Now his tricep is against my shin. Using this as a fulcrum, I step back over your stomach. Now, once here, I place my foot right behind his shoulder blade or underneath his shoulder blade. I make sure that I take his forearm, his tricep here, and put it right against my shin. Now, see, 2 hands down. Thumbs equal on this side. I call it rowing a boat. Notice the same motion as I'm rowing a boat. I row him over with my verbal command, over on your stomach. Now from here, extend his arm up. Take my right leg, hit the tricep, drop down. And my other leg squeezes it in together. This body lock keeps him from any further action against me. Over. Sir, you're going to have to sit down. Would you please sit down?
I'm not.
Sir, if you don't sit down, I'm going to have to place you down.
I'm not good.
Down. On your stomach. Now, sir, put your hand behind your back, please. What's good about the heel lock center takedown is that it can be used in different variations, used against different individuals, from very passive to very aggravated. Sir, would you please sit down? He's crossing his arms. He's giving me body language that he refuses to comply. This particular variation will be executed against someone who's a little more passive and not quite as aggravated or aggressive. I'm going to come in this way here, step in heel lock, and fuse those arms together. By pushing down on that, actually fuses it to his own chest. From this position here, I want to sit him down. Down! And you notice I maintain control of him. Sir, would you please sit down?
No. No.
Sir, you're going to have to sit down. Would you please sit down?
I'm not.
Sir, if you don't sit down, I'm going to have to place you down.
I'm not good.
Down. On your stomach. Now, sir, put your hand behind your back, please. Sir, would you please comply?
No.
Sir, I'm asking you one more time. On your stomach. Hands behind your back. Behind your back. Sir, would you please comply?
No.
Sir, I'm going to have to take you in. Sir, would you please comply?
No.
Sir, I'm ordering for life. On your stomach. Put your hand behind your back. Over. Stop your fighting. What we're going to do now is throw it at the end of a combination technique. So if we have a fighting strategy, we still have a finish on how to put this individual down to the ground. I'll give an example. Say I'm in an interview stance here, and out of the blue, he throws a punch at me. Boom, I'm going to strike that down. My combination here is moving with a forearm and lift him up. Now you notice how I'm moving his body the way I want to move. Now his body's perfectly in position for me to now step in, heel lock, and finish the thing with a heel lock center takedown and pull him around into a handcuffing position. Like that. So what we're basically doing is taking one technique and now blending it in with another. So we have a start and a finish. And that will help you now deal with combatant individuals. So knowledge, because now you have things on which to follow up. The rule of 3. This could be 1, 2, I need a third movement. Now I want to stop this fight. I don't want to continue it on. I have an opportunity to throw in here. I'll drop him to the ground and finish him up. 1, 2, over. Stop your fighting. Over. Stop your fighting. Shaking hands, you've got to be very careful. All right, because a lot of times it's specifically a threat. If he does, and he pulls you into it, your elbow now comes over the top, over this way here. This hand stays up here, so calm down. This way, you can't get struck. You're protecting yourself. But if all of a sudden you see him tighten and pull up, this hand goes down, this comes over the top, and takes your opponent down. So calm down, really. down here, over the top. You have to perfect this technique because, one, it's too strong here. Just loosen this up. Hold it there temporarily. Drop your elbow right by your side, like this. Now you're forcing his body, and this punch can't hit you. All right, because normally when somebody grabs you with this hand, they want to pop you with the other hand. When you do this right off the bat, see how I'm adjusting his body? And that gives me the time to pull up here, put my hands in position. Elbows always right to my side. Now I'm going to drop them down to my side here and use my rotation of my hip. So you notice that I'm very much in one position. I talk a lot about sometimes having to fight in a phone booth. Because in law enforcement, we don't have a lot of open areas. Sometimes we do, but most of it's either in motel rooms or bars or things of that nature that you can't be throwing people around. You have to try to minimize it, especially to the on-viewing people. You don't want your moves to look embellished. You want it to look controlled, concise, and quick. See, there's a wall right here, and I can't go that way. I can only go this way. Again, the environment dictates the move that I use. This one is the same principle except in the reverse. I'm coming from inside my center, reaching around to grab his knife hand portion of his hand. Once I grab that, I'm going to fuse this to my side, pull in. This hand comes over, twisted in this nature here. The pressure is being applied here, and even here. Torquing it this way here, and now I'm using my body again to do the maneuver by bending forward at the hip, down all the way down on your knee, on your knee. Now from here, you see how it's extended? I just drop them right down into the position I need. Down. Down.
Sir, is there anything I can say or do?
Just leave. Just down. On your belly. Stop resisting. Hands behind your back. This next technique we're going to do is a wrist drop. It's a very dynamic technique. However, you need two people to do that. One, to execute the technique. Two, the primary officer or contact officer to distract your adversary. What it is that we're going to take this individual's wrist and just merely pull it down to the ground behind him. By pulling his wrist down, it manipulates his whole upper body to pull him down onto the ground. This technique you have to be very careful because environmental awareness dictates if you use this or not. Case in point, if there's a curb behind this individual, I'm not going to use this technique. Or I'm going to try to move him into a safe spot. So understand, every time you execute a maneuver, you're responsible for the actions. So when you're in a very dangerous situation or the highway is behind us, we're not going to use this technique. Here, I'm going to come in from a flank side. Alright? When I come in, I'm going to grab this individual's wrist. My elbows always on my side. As I do this, I'm going to place it almost into a rear fulcrum behind him. It's important about this, he's got to tuck his chin. As I step back, I'm going to drop my knee and put his hand right behind his back like so. Down. Then from here, back up, manipulate him around on your belly. Into handcuff lockup.
Sir, is there anything I can say to get you to comply?
Leave. Absolutely, you can leave.
your hands behind your back. This is very good because you can be used with somebody around a knife around your neck or just choking you without a weapon system. The very first thing you're going to have to do is automatically reach up and clear your airway to make sure you can breathe. But the most important way to do that is by dropping your elbows right to your body for your fusion, body fusion, so to speak. Now, no matter how hard Jeff pulls, he won't be able to choke me out. Go ahead, Jeff. See? It's because just the way my body is being positioned. As soon as that happens, I reach up, fuse my arms to my body here, and drop my weight. Alright? That gives me, number one, the time to breathe, and at the exact same time, depending on where his head is, if he's directly behind me, this is one, my head bounces back. Alright, that could automatically cause him to loosen up his grip. Then from here, I'm going to move my hip to the side as I hammer strike his groin. And then, as I'm grabbing this, I'm going to come up and lift him up because I want his body to be moved a certain way. From here, reach up, I pull around, and I try to bring my elbows as close to my body as possible, like this. Now from here, I'm going to take my belt and pivot and pull him onto the ground. Pull him back over and into a lock-up technique. Down. Headbutt. Down. Lift up. Put your hands behind your back. What's good about this technique is that, say for example, he's going to use a weapon system, and this time it's a knife. He catches me off guard, but the technique will remain the same. Here, I scoop up, fuse. The important thing is now to make sure that I just don't work on the forearm. I come right down to where his hand is. Notice that I go right to where the thumb muscle is. Now from here, notice how it starts to pull out. I'm going to drop my weight down, headbutt, strike, hit, grab, here, and now the weapon is still in hand. Fighting a knife is extremely dangerous. This particular technique is that you walk into a room, or all of a sudden he's got that knife and you're in that close proximity, you don't have time to go for your sidearm. But say someone didn't search him properly, and he's in a booking room, next thing he's got a knife. These are realistic things that happen. Now from here, my hands are going to come up to the level of the knife. Whoa, whoa! Alright, because I'm not waiting for him to go forward. So as soon as I come up here, that forearm gets it right out of the way. Alright? Now I can't take the chance that that's going to fall, so I have to continue on with the attack. After here, I am going to right to his throat, because this is a deadly force maneuver. From here, I'm going straight in with my forearm, right to take the esophagus, alright, to stop his air. From here, I'm just going to stop and sweep one from behind him. This position here, pull him right over into a lockup. When dealing with a stick or club-wielding individual, the maneuver can be used the same for a smaller officer compared to a bigger suspect. To handle a larger suspect with a weapon, your elbow has to remain tight to your side, your lower elbow. The upper one comes up, so notice that we're going to protect our rib cage, but yet almost an opening gap. So as he starts to spin in, grabbing it and locking the elbows. Now from here, the important part is to fuse your elbows tight to your body. Notice how it's pinching off his two weapon systems. The Elvis belt here is going to pivot from here all the way to the left, using the momentum to throw your opponent. All right, now pivot, Jeff, pull them in tight towards your center, and pivot hard. Notice that my elbows are going to be tight here, and my elbow will be tight this way here, like I'm going to catch it. I'm protecting my rib cage here, and I'm protecting myself here. But I'm moving towards the same direction Rob is. I'm not waiting, because if I'm outside, I'll take the hit. So what I have to do is here, come on the inside. Notice how I'm catching it? Maybe I'll take it in the abdomen, but that's okay. From here, I grab, and I'm going to take my belt and just pivot the opposite way from here and go. Pivot. Now from here, the same maneuver. Over on your back. Get off my gun! Get back! Real briefly, I like to talk about handgun positioning and retention. When you have your handgun out, you're searching an area or you're holding an individual at bay. Learn to make sure that your handgun is very tight to your body. Your elbows actually have to be fused to your body. This is one of the most safest ways to maintain position of your handgun. Because we talked about through this entire program, your strength comes from your body fusion, from your elbows to your rib cage. From here, you can simply lift up to your target. You can cover from this position very easily by looking around this way here. When you're searching a building, it's so important that your handgun remains in this position. Too often we have a tendency to let our weapon system lead us. For example, if I'm walking this way, you notice how far from it is from my body. This is not a very stable stance at all. For example, notice how weak this position is. Very difficult to maintain. I have no stability. Now from here, it's so close to my body. One, if he did get a hold of it, he can't move because it's my entire body. Secondly, from this position, grab. It's very powerful defensive. Grab. 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 So when you position your handgun, always here, always tight to your body, even when you're doing your searches. All you have to do is from this position. You don't have to do it out here. You don't do it down here. Right here, close and personal. In case someone does get a hold of your gun, in this fashion here, alright, this is obviously a deadly force situation. Just a very powerful and maybe focused individual. What I'm going to do is surprise him. He's not going to expect this maneuver. I'm going to step between his legs and then totally drop my weight downwards. He won't be able to keep me up. He won't be prepared for it. But when I do that, I move in anyway, here, to surprise him a little bit, and then I'm just going to drop this way. Now notice that the weapon is pointed up at him. I can kick here, or I can push him back to gain myself distance. Get off my gun! Back! Get off my gun! Get back! Get off my gun! Get back! Get off my gun! Get back! You notice after we fall, you want to clear the weapon, because by holding onto the weapon as we drop, it could jam up. So at that point, one, you give him verbal commands, get off my gun. That way people will surround you, hear that he's attacking your weapon. Tap rack is to ensure that the weapon has been cleared and that there'll be no jam-ups in case he jumps you and tries to get your weapon again. If someone brings a firearm up to your head, the very first thing to do is to bring your hands to the same level as the weapon itself. Not above, not below. Elbows have to be tucked in. Now first, you have to realize, again, your environmental awareness, because the move that you will deploy could affect those who surround you. For example, if there's my partner behind me, I know what I'm going to do. He doesn't. So I can't do a move like this, because the round might go off and hit my partner. So before I make a move, even in this deadly force situation, I have to know my environment, my surrounding, who's with me. Because if I know my partner is behind me, I might try to move him. Don't shoot me, don't shoot me. Why you want me? Now I put my partner maybe in a safer zone because I know what I'm going to do next. Action is quicker than reaction. And this is a deadly force situation. You don't have time to wait. don't think that he's going to let you go. 90% of police officers that are taken hostages are shot. 90% of civilians are not. But police officers is a high, high rate. And it's too much to risk to wait on somebody else if he's going to kill you or not. So from here, you will plan out, as soon as that happens, you've already got your action in mind. Your hands got to go up to the same level. If you're farther, you have to do something that's not normal, but close the distance, move in. At the same time, you have to start to use some verbal cues or clues or verbal assistance. Your hands come up. You start to solicit questions or answers from him that he has to answer you. Why do you want to shoot me?
Get your hands
What did I ever do to you? Tell me what's the matter.
I don't want to hear you talk.
As soon as he goes to respond verbally is when I'll move. What did I ever do to you? All right, obviously anticipate that round going off. And this is a maneuver you have to practice. You will be able to beat the action. You say bang when you see me move. Bang! Do it again, please. When you see me move, wait, bang! Again, you have to gain confidence in this maneuver, but this is a maneuver that will save your life. Sir, what did I do? Now, from here, you notice I bring it tight to my body, but I've opened up and I'm going closer to my target. From here, I'm just going to come right in, and I'm going to go right for the throat, and drive that throat as far as I can. From here, I'm going to finish what I intended to do, and I have to stop this individual from any more threats. I'm going to take him right down to the ground as I continue with pressure across his throat. Notice that I'm keeping the handgun pinned to my side so it can no longer pose a significant threat to me. From here, strip this out of his hand and gain my weapon. While training with your partner, make sure his finger is outside the trigger guard. Because if it's in there, put it inside there, obviously you can cause extremely a lot of damage and probably rip the finger right off. For training purposes here, grab around and roll this way to gain distance. The reason you use this weapon under your hand is because you can't rely on this weapon. It might have jammed up and you don't know it's really functioning. You take that extra second and grab your own handgun to cover the threat.
Get your hands up.
What did I do to you?
Get your hands up.
What can I help you?
Stay.
Go ahead, gun. Get your finger out.
Get your hands up.
Please.
You're gonna die, pig.
What did I do? What did I do?
I'm gonna kill you.
Give me that weapon. Go back. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that the individual is compliant. So turn around, face the wall, please. Now get down on your knees, please, for a second, and put your hand on your back. Now, I'm not going to tell the individual he's under arrest at this time. That's going to set a light off or a tone that he's going to do battle or possibly could. I'm going to ask or solicit questions that he has to respond to. What's your name, sir?
That's Jeff.
What are you doing around here, Jeff?
I work here.
All right, Jeff. Stand up a second. I'm going to place you under arrest. We're going to first talk about handcuffing the compliant individual. That's 95% of the situations that we encounter. However, it's also very vital because that's when things can go south on you immediately. So even though he might be compliant at the time, you have to get the handcuffs on expeditiously and effectively, really quick. A lot of times, if you just get one on and you start getting sloppy and trying to switch hands, that's when the battle ensues. He might be already preparing a plan of attack. We don't know that. So put your hands behind your back, please. Now, I don't want him to know my position. So what's your name?
Jeff.
I'm going to ask him questions at the same time so he has to think about it. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to formulate a plan of attack. While he's answering my questions, my cuffs are already prepared. I don't want to take them out in front of him. I'll turn him around. Sir, put your hands behind your back. At that point is when I take my handcuffs and prepare him. Separate it from your back a little bit, sir. What's your name?
Jeff.
I'm going to grab here and twist. As I grab and twist, it's going to be a pull and push momentum like this. Now from here, I'm simply going to take the other hand, grab, in the same method, pull and push. Secure it, and And that way, and then I'm going to make sure I double lock, always double lock the handcuffs. One, liability, make sure that he doesn't get any further injured. Because unless I double lock him, when he sits down, they could lock up closer on him, cut off circulation, cause damage to his wrist here. So I immediately double lock here to make sure they didn't go any tighter. One of the most important aspects of handcuffing is also taking the handcuffs off effectively. On the way to the police station, our level of stress or anxiety usually diminishes because we're going to our house, we're going to the police department. A lot of times their level is increasing because they're going to jail. Therefore, they could be planning an action of attack or escape on their way to the station and we wouldn't know it. So we have to take off the handcuffs as effectively as we put them on. To do that, I'll show you how we use a chair. Okay, now we're in the booking room. You still want to make sure you take all the preventative measures. Sir, I want you to straddle this chair with your chest facing the back, please. All right, now, sir, I want you to put your chest right here in the chair. Lean forward. Now I'm going to take your handcuffs off, okay? This way here, if you apply pressure, relax, sir. I want you to stop your fighting. If you continue to fight, I'm going to keep the handcuffs on. Act like a gentleman. I'll remove the handcuffs. Now, sir, after I release this first handcuff, keep your hand at your side, please. Stay right there. Put the handcuffs away. Okay, sir. Stand up for a minute, please. Okay. Turn around. Have a seat. I grab the elbows anytime I handle an individual because here it's the most safest. If I grab up here, he can respond with this elbow. If I grab here, he can respond this way. It's not safe at all. As soon as I grab at the elbow and below, he cannot do either because I can feel it and I control it. It's not too aggressive. I keep it close to my body. Okay, sir, have a seat down. But yet, it's always being on the preventative side. If you get sloppy and careless and start moving people like this, they're going to grab away from you. They can respond to an attack. So anytime you put your hands on somebody, at the wrist, at the elbow, come on up, sir. I just want to bring you into the room. This is the safest method. Anything above or below is dangerous. Over. Put your head right there, sir. So I'm going to bring you around. Relax. Very good. So I'm going to roll you on this side. I'm going to roll you up and stand you on this knee. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and up. Once you handcuff an individual, it's important that you get them up properly too. Too often, officers are trying to yank somebody up. They hurt their backs. They injure the suspect. Communicate with him. At this point, he's well into control. If he's still fighting, you keep him there until he calms down. Once he's calming down, say, are you calmed down now? Can you get up properly? What I want you to do, I want you to get up on this knee. First, bend this knee forward, please. Bend this knee. All right. On the count of 3, I'm going to roll you up on that knee, and then we'll get up. Okay? 1, 2, and up you go.
Strategy to deal with environmental factors is important. Obviously, you don't want to put yourself in a situation that is dangerous. And a lot of people do. When you're walking into a building, is it lit from behind, in dark inside, therefore shadowing you or framing you in the door frame, making you a good target? Take these things into consideration before just walking into a dangerous situation. If you're dealing with gang members or if you're dealing with multiple suspects at a time, use smart strategies. Don't engage them by yourself. Call for backup. Backup is important. The strongest thing we have in law enforcement is strength in numbers. And a lot of times I don't think we use it. A lot of times we don't have the opportunity. All the other cars are busy, you're on your own. But if there's not, there's no excuse not to use a team effort when dealing with many of these calls for service. Driving by a cruiser, looking at your buddy, you okay, and driving on really does nothing. Nothing at all. And then you'll feel terrible later on in case there's a gunfight in that situation. Stop. Get out. Place yourself in a strategic location. Team approach is probably the safest thing that we have in law enforcement. We don't take advantage of it as much as we should. A punching maneuver would be considered a long-range weapon for hand-to-hand fighting. Long-range because it's fully extended. Middle would be a forearm strike. And obviously an elbow would be very close range. But yet the basic maneuvers will remain the same. For lower body extremities, the long-range weapon system would be a kick. A medium-range weapon would be a shin. Close-range weapon would be a knee. Now these are good because you can use the same techniques, the same striking maneuvers, but instead of extending here, you're extending here, or you're extending here. That will help you greatly because a lot of times when you're training with fighting strategies, people are confused because if someone's too close, they don't know what to do. This program here, if they're too close, okay, you revert to this weapon, or you revert to that weapon. It's very similar when it comes to shooting and gunfights. All right, when you shoot close quarters, a lot of times it's here. You don't have time to take sight pictures and things of that nature. When we shoot long distance, we have a tendency to use our sights. When it's close quarters, it's really close in here. We use two eyes, just point, shoot. Fighting, hand-to-hand fighting is the same way. You have to know your zones and what weapon systems you can use. I like to talk about a color code warning system. This is very consistent in our form of government, force continuums and things of that nature. I'm just going to break it down to four basic colors. White is pretty much when you're home watching TV, sleeping, relaxing, when you're in a white zone. As soon as you put that uniform on, at all times you should be in a yellow zone. Always prepared. Not necessarily overly prepared, but prepared. Always taking in everything in your environment. You just can't walk into a convenience store thinking you're going to get a cup of coffee without being into a yellow zone. Because the attack will come on you at all the time, at any time. It really is true. You always have to expect the unexpected, especially in our profession. So whenever you're in general patrol, you're in a yellow zone, or a yellow coding system. Now, when you respond to a call for service, you should be in orange. That's when your threats could be imminent, and are imminent. For example, you have a suspect not responding to your call, not responding to your commands. A red zone when it's ready to roll, and you have to respond appropriately. That's when you're dealing with the aggravated active assault, or just a regular active assault. You have to respond in the red zone. When you're dealing with active or aggravated active resistance, you have to be fully prepared for action. Color red. I'd like to talk a little bit about gross motor skills and fine motor skills. The difference between fine motor skills and gross motor skills: fine motor skills you can manipulate in self-defense maneuvers. Fine motor skills are things you can do with your fingers: dexterity, opening the key door, your eyesight, sight picture. Things like that are fine motor skills. Intricate fighting maneuvers are fine motor skills. Gross motor skills are more or less bigger maneuvers, bigger self-defense moves. For example, something coming at you, a strike coming at you, a fine motor skill might be parry, grab, and take down. A gross motor skill would be like striking that away, striking another item, and then taking the individual down. Gross motor skills is different. That's when you start to lose your fine motor skills at about 115 beats per minute and up. When you start to go higher, 140, 150 beats per minute, that's when your gross motor skills are at their optimum level. Those are your gross fighting motor skills. I've had several of my friends that were involved in gunfights. They recognized the importance of fine and gross motor skills. Because if you know the difference, you can respond appropriately. One very close friend of mine was in a gunfight, and he couldn't open the trunk to his car. He realized right off the bat, because his heart rate was so elevated, he had to resort back to the gross motor skills. So it's important for us to know what our body will respond to. But what the key factor is here is know what your body is capable of, know what your body is responding to. If you can't do a certain fine motor skill, realize it's because your heartbeat is up at a certain level. Does that mean you're not going to succeed? That means you resort to something a little more effective with gross motor skills. Things to avoid in police work is something that your instinct is telling you is not right. If your instinct is signaling you that something is not right in the situation, respond to it and listen to it. Use smart tactical decisions. For example, you pull over a car, and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 people in it, and they're all starting to get out, and you realize something is not right here. Use a smart tactic. All right, guys, go ahead down the road. Listen, I just got another call for service. I got to go. I'll see you later on. But slow down. They get in the car. They move on. You know something was not right. You call in 2, 3, 4 units. Meet them down the street. Pull them over collectively. That's a smart tactic. Use that in every opportunity you have. Strengthen the numbers of law enforcement. If something is telling you not right, you go into a bar and you see a few shadows, call for another unit. Respond to your instinct because 9 out of 10 times you're accurate. Angle of attacks are important when dealing with taking an individual into custody, especially if you're using a team approach, which is the best way to do it. By using angle of attacks means you can use or come at it to any different angle and still take that individual down effectively. When you practice a technique, a heel lock center takedown, once you practice and perfect it, you're going to realize you can do that from any different angle. It's just depending which way you come in towards your target. That's important because depending on the position or the environment, it's not always going to be the way you train to be. So always train for different angles. Because you might be in a bar, he might be against a wall. You might be in a small motel room. So the angle, you have to learn to deploy your techniques from a multitude of angles. You can still do the same maneuvers, except the heel lock center takedown might be done from the rear. Or a rear center takedown, you might start off from the front. But you can maneuver and execute those techniques on an angle that fits your needs and your partner's needs. Dealing with multiple attackers in law enforcement is very common. So we have to be prepared to deal with them as well. When you're faced with a multiple attack situation, target indexing is key. 1 or 2 powerful maneuvers per person, just enough to get you out of that environment. Realize no matter what their strength in numbers, with them as well. If they outnumber you, realize that they will be victorious unless you execute some smart, powerful maneuvers and get yourself out of that threat immediately. By doing so means you just know your tactics, know it's effective. Your energy level will be depleted fast. You can't afford to give 2, 3, 4 shots per person. You have to hit 1 or 2 very powerful and effective maneuvers as you get out of that zone. If you just parry or throw them out of the way, they're just going to turn around and fight you again. But if you give them a powerful shot to a thigh, that'll put them down at least for 2 to 3, 4 seconds. That'll give you the time to get out of there. The target indexing is key. Find that specific target per person. 1, 2, boom, move on to the next and get yourself out of that environment. The first one to hit is the one that poses the first significant danger to you. Now, the most important thing to do is get out of that environment. And if the door is that way, and the person's in front of me, he's the first to go. Alright, because I'm not going to be able to go around him. I want to strike him, cause as much chaos that he possibly can have, overwhelm his senses, and I'm on to the next guy before he knew what happened. I'm going to go towards the first exit. So if there's an individual right by that exit, he's the first to go. Either if I hammer or throw him or manipulate him out of my way into somebody else to give me time to move. But that's the way I will pick my first target. Who is the closest and who poses the first significant risk, or who is in my way from an exit. When dealing with somebody who is all drugged up or intoxicated, they don't respond to pain the same way you or I respond to pain in a controlled environment. And that's still also with somebody that's very just out of his mind with anger and rage. Like their adrenaline is so high, they're not going to respond to pain compliance maneuvers. Therefore, you have to use powerful gross motor skills or takedown manipulations to take these individuals down. Because regardless how much they can take pain, their skeletons are still the same as you and I. So they're going to fall and move the way we manipulate them to. That's important to know because I've had people that this guy doesn't feel pain. Well, then we're using the wrong maneuver. Don't rely on pain compliance techniques. They don't work a lot of the times. Use techniques that will move his body. Heel lock center takedown, move someone's body regardless if they feel the pain or not. So our objective is not to use pain compliance. Our objective is to make compliance, period. Now, when dealing with intoxicated, people that are all doped up, you have to manipulate and move their body. Communication is very important in law enforcement. Communication is just by us stepping out of a patrol car sometimes. The FBI has done studies about how criminals profile police officers. No different how criminals profile their victims. They will attack and assault police officers they think will offer the least resistance. So your appearance is probably one of the most key factors in communicating your capabilities. I know it doesn't sound all that articulate, but it works and it's true. Your demeanor, the way you carry yourself, could result in whether you're attacked or not. Now, and I'm not talking about mistaking weakness for kindness. You can be professional, kind, and courteous in dealing with the public. And when dealing with hostile individuals, the best way to resolve a situation is through verbal judo, if it works. Always try to resolve the situation with communications, because 90% of the times it can be done. You have to understand, as a law enforcement officer, your impact on a person's life is immense, either negative or positive. Make it positive. I'm not talking about mistaking kindness for weakness. You can maintain professionalness. I had a caller one-on-one time, and the officer said later on, do you know that person? Is that a friend of yours? That's the way you should treat everybody. They'll never forget you. And when it comes to fighting strategies, you treat people kind. Next thing you know, they might be behind you, protecting you too. And that's happened as well. So when it comes to communications, maintain a professional, firm, but yet kind demeanor. Not weakness, but firm.
Sudden violence will frustrate and terrify you because you don't know what comes next and where it will take you. Facing a threat, you need to use whatever means necessary to end the situation effectively and quickly.
Primarily derived from adaptiveness of the nervous system and quickness of the muscle contraction. Agility is the ability to change direction or body position quickly and